What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. I am joined once more by Hamzia. Say hello to everybody out there, Hams.
Hello, McMinions.
All right, so we are going to be talking about these changes to the Doom Ray with the ISO requirements, and then we're also going to talk about how Scopely or Boundless Entertainment needs to make them a little more available if they're going to be going forward on this requirement for the or hard locking and future events behind ISO levels on characters. But I said my piece already on a rant I did yesterday about requiring level 5 green ISO for the Doom Raid. Hamzia, I want to hear your thoughts a little bit before we go any further.
Well, I mean, I'm kind of in the same boat as you, but at the 30% mark, which I think is where a lot of your viewership would be is like they push themselves. I know we pushed ourselves to get to 30% because we wanted to get more surface shards.
Mm-hmm.
And now we're being told that we have to go back to U75. And I like we hit 30% like 2 or 3 hours early. Every strike team cleared the lane fully. So I had actually suggested this week that we do a second Doom run to be able to get more points, to be able to get more surfer shards, because we're actually having fun with it too. It's like it's a little bit more of a challenge. It's a puzzle. Like it's kind of why you play a game like this is,
Mm-hmm.
you're given all these tools and you need to figure out, and you're given a problem and you have to figure out how to solve that problem. And
Right.
now we're being told that we can't go into it, which really sucks.
Yeah. Will you guys be able to continue to do 30%?
We won't even be able to get in. I think I've got just Black Order and symbiotes at 5. Everybody else is at 4, or DD4 characters are at 4, and then everybody else is at 3 or lower. Right?
Ouch.
And I'm
Yeah.
a little bit more conservative with my ISOs. Like I have so many sitting right now that I could probably get a full team going,
Mm-hmm.
right? But the reason that they also did this, and what I can see is that they didn't like that people were going up the middle. They want people to spread out, so it's like, okay, so if you want to get to 30%, get to ISO 4, right? But now you
Right.
have to do ISO 4 on skill, and
Mm-hmm.
skill is, I mean, it's not too
Skills
bad.
skills a lot better now.
Yeah,
Like I'm pretty much two-shotting the boss node for skill. It's a lot better, but it's also that I'm having high star characters like Zemo, Kestrel, and Red Guardian Night Nurse in there. But yeah, if you don't have a high gear Kestrel or Zemo, you're kind of stuck on that skill node.
I think the other problem is that we're all hoarding our
Mm-hmm.
gear
Yep.
for DD4, and we're saving these orange materials because we know how much is required to get to G15 on some of these characters, right? So a lot like myself, I haven't taken up a single leisure character. I took up Surfer and Kestrel, but I was currently in the cosmic nodes, so I was
Mm-hmm.
able to actually use them in DD4,
Oh, good.
right? But I mean, Kestrel kind of cleared that last node for me really quickly, which made me feel like, I saved a number of days off of it.
Right.
But there might be people that aren't in that boat and are, starting out DD4. I know more than half of my alliance is starting out DD4, and I've been telling them like you guys need to save your orange gear. Don't take anybody past 12. If you're gonna take them past 12, make sure that you're taking them all the way to 14 because of that stat boost. Because 13 doesn't really give you much. It just takes your gear. And if you make sure you have a plan to get into DD4, and like this was enough that people actually had a decent plan, and now I need to go back and tell them, okay, who's got what for ISO,
Yep.
who can take, I need 2 people from each strike team that can do skill at 4, and then I need people that can do bio at 4, but then I also need people that can do tech at 4 and mystic at 4. Like I need it's really hard to manage that as an alliance captain or alliance leader trying to get this all going,
Yeah.
right? So it's just, yeah, it's a little bit too much management in a resource management game.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. I mean, like I told you yesterday, we cleared 60% for the first time in the Doom raid, and now we won't be able to do it again because We definitely don't have the ISOs on characters for it, and I don't know when we will. And that was part of our whole thing when we unloaded on Cerebro in the Envoy chat yesterday was, we've got this content that we have right now, and now all of a sudden you guys are blocking us and you're forcing us to progress backwards because reasons that don't really make sense. I mean, they say it's not because they want people to spend on ISO, but it sure does feel like they want people spending on ISO. And to block people off really just does not feel fun.
Yeah, I think that setting it as a requirement and saying that they're using that requirement for tuning makes no sense. They
It
can
makes no
use it as
sense.
recommendation. This is what we recommend. This is what we've tested this content at. This is
Yeah.
what we expect you to be at. This is the same thing that you'd see in World of Warcraft. Is a new raid would come out, and they hated when your race to world first was done in 24 hours,
Well, they
right? So
also
they
had
boosted
those.
that
They
content.
also had those alliances who were doing their beta testing and would get early access to those raids. I
Yeah,
remember
yeah.
that.
So they got to see them,
Yeah.
right? They got to see these fights. They got to plan, and then these new fights come out, and they're cleared within a day,
Yep.
right? And they hated that. They're like, okay, well, our raid team, like our design team, worked so hard on this, and it's cleared, right? I mean, it's not because it's literally the top guilds that are doing it, like guilds that are run as organizations and corporations, and have like monetary backing for them,
Mm-hmm.
but still that's and they need to get away from the idea that they're building these for these top percent players,
Yep.
right? Do you think that any part of Marvel Strike Force is built specifically for the Krakens? Because there's one event that came out that I mean, two
Oh
events
my
maybe that we were
god, the
like,
lunar the
these are
lunar
for
event.
Krakens.
The
Yeah,
lunar the
yeah,
lunar orb
exactly.
event. Yeah.
And these are for Krakens. This is what they're gonna do, and no other player is gonna care.
Well, see,
And
counterpoint to that, this change for the ISOs is not for the Krakens because your
exactly.
Krakens don't have. They spread out. They went wide on their ISOs because they could afford to whale out and get more ISOs on more characters. They didn't go tall, and this is to go for people going tall on their ISO and like putting the ISO 5 on the most important characters. But your whales and Krakens went wide. And
Yeah.
so this is like, hey, screw you guys, spend more money on the ISO is what it feels like.
Oh,
And
100%.
yeah. But we don't want to go off too much and rant about this. I mean, we could go all day ranting about this.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
But let's talk ISO because this is where I mean we gotta start hoarding up ISO and getting them spent on characters. How much do you do for energy refreshes every day on ISO energy?
I do the 50s.
Okay.
I'm trying to keep everything above 81, right? So
Mm-hmm.
every one of the stat or every one of the origins or classes or whatever they are, right? So like right now I think my controller is now at 81 for all the pieces. No, I'm just missing controller focus. That's at 80. Right? But like that's how I kind of do it. So once I hit 81, I mean controller especially because I'm planning on taking Doom up to 5 right away.
Right.
Even before this, I was like, because we know that ISO Blue is coming and you need to be at 5 to get into ISO Blue. So I was trying to hoard because we know that the meta is changing and I want to be ready, right? Like we
Mm-hmm.
now know that Nebula and Gamora are going to be moving up, right? So what happens if I go and I sink? If I went and I sank all my brawler ISOs into taking more brawlers to level 5, and now Nebula and Gamora, who are I think Gamora might be a controller. I'm looking at Nebula right now, but
Gamora is a brawler
oh
and Nebula is a brawler as well.
yeah, so both of them are brawler, and now I need to take them up to 5 or 4, and I can't.
Yep.
Right, so I've been saving a lot. I try to get them up, but I don't really spend them. I was
Yeah.
thinking about taking all my war defense teams to 3, and I guess I'm holding off on that now too,
Yeah,
because
I just took Colleen up to ISO 5 for Heroes for Hire. I was like, yeah, it's gonna be a Lord meta defense meta team. It's gonna be great. And then like the day after I finished her at ISO 5, they dropped this news about Doom, and I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. Because
yeah,
now I've got to take Shatterstar up. I've got to. Well, also, so let's talk about this a different way. If you are doing the first two sections, which is like the first two groups, So like on the far right for us, that is mutant and bio. If you're doing those two nodes first, you only need ISO 4 on them, and then for that, I'm mostly covered. All my mutants that I use for the Doom raid are at ISO 4. Same with my brawlers for the most, or same with my bio. All of them are at ISO 4. Thankfully, it's the nodes after that where you're gonna have to be taking your characters up to ISO 5. So you do plan around that, and that's something to help with your alliances and planning out like who's gonna go where on these lanes. Figure out what people are with their ISOs too, and start planning that roadmap of what characters you need to bring up. And I'll probably have to do a video on that, like talking about what characters to bring in for the Doom raid and like what ISOs to do for them. So, um, but
Yeah, my issue with like a lane like mutant right now is
mm-hmm.
that the answer is Axemen, right? Or is the answer a hybrid
No.
of Emma?
Okay,
Is it
for this is something I could talk about with the mutant nodes specifically when I do like a video on the mutants. Right now, cannot use Jubilee because that stupid bug with Bishop, and that's the
okay?
thing where if Jubilee's on your team, the enemy bishops copy the ISO of your bishop, and now also gain the buffs. Like his special will give him offense up if Jubilee is present on his team, but it's still bugged where there's no Jubilee on his team, but he's still gaining the buffs, and then he's double tapping on a special and he's just wiping someone off the map right away. Um,
So is that like the Awk bug when it was first released, where he was giving
yep.
offense down immunity to the
Yeah,
enemy team? It's the
it's
same thing.
pretty similar. They thought they fixed it, and Remin X was like, "Hold on a second." Like 10 minutes later, send them to clip, and they're like, "Guys, it's definitely not fixed." But
Hmm.
I don't want to go into detail too much of who I'm using in different nodes. It's gonna be another video,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, for mutants, like Jubilee, Beast, and Bishop work really well on the early mutant nodes without Doom there. And then I use Shatterstar and Longshot. I always call them Shattershot and Longstar. Wrong names. Yeah, those two guys paired with those three Axemen has worked wonders for me in the mutant nodes. But I've got them all at ISO 4, so I'm gonna be okay there. It's
Hmm.
for me because I'm working on skill. Like I'm basically pushing my lane through the skill nodes. I'm basically what's carrying through the skill nodes. I've gotta reevaluate this because I only have three skill characters at ISO 5: Kestrel, Corvus, and Proxima. So I've
And
got to,
Colleen.
yeah, and Colleen, but I'm sure as heck not using Colleen in the skill nodes.
Exactly.
So I've got to take Zemo up, I've got to take Night Nurse up, and I've got to take Red Guardian up. And yeah, that's gonna suck. It's this is the big thing is you really do need to plan out your ISOs for who's gonna be tackling what lanes, figure out what characters to take in, and start planning out your ISOs. But um, this kind of goes into the whole thing that I want to tackle, which is the scarcity of the ISOs
Yeah.
and how difficult is it to get ISOs for your characters. We get on a good day, if your login calendar lines up, you get like 7 or 8 of those T1 orbs, and those usually give you like one, maybe two of a T1 ISO orb or T1 like crystal, and you need 81 of a single crystal to take that one slot of a character up to tier 5. It takes a long time to grind it out. And
Yeah.
that's a big thing. And this is where we need to get this availability. I'm also out of ions because I had to push some characters up to tier 5 for ISO and try to get those things topped off. Um, but yeah, the first thing that I wanted to bring up with getting more availability was start giving us a monthly event. Um,
Yep.
like we just had Block Party, and we just had the Back to
Back to
Boot
boot
Camp,
camp.
and we're about to get
Hmm.
Chaos Theory next week. Start giving us one of those for ISO.
Also a challenge,
Yes,
right?
yes. A daily challenge like we get with everything else.
Hmm.
Yeah. What do you
Um,
think about using AIM for the monthly event for ISO?
it'd be good, but if they've set a precedent that they're going to require ISO for these new things now, right? Like we saw it with the Adam Warlock release, which I honestly looking at it with the requirement for skill military or like that skill military event, I fully expected that the next legendary will have an ISO requirement. I didn't expect a gear requirement, but I fully expected an ISO requirement on that. And I know that was something that we were all like, is this legit? Like, is
Yeah,
this a requirement, or did they have it as a
as soon as I saw
recommendation,
that, I
right?
pinged Cerebral. I'm like, just making sure. Is this a requirement or recommendation? Nope, it's a requirement.
Yeah, so and going forward, like in that strike time video, they also said that n- new legendaries going forward will all be considered mythic legendaries, meaning they will all have these requirements. So the next challenge and the next uh event will also likely have these requirements because this
Mm-hmm.
current event that we got for training materials does as well. So they're really just pushing ISO. They're pushing ISO on us so hard.
Yep.
And I think like I've had a lot of people say that ISO is probably one of the best things that came to this game.
Oh yeah,
And
I love ISO.
it's like they heard that and they said they're happy with something that we released and they're not spending money on it. We need to change it. We need to make them unhappy so they're more willing to spend money on it, right? And
Well,
it's like this whole
here's the
game that
thing.
they're playing with us.
Yeah, here's the thing. If the offers for ISO were worth it, I'd probably do them. But they're crap offers.
Yeah, like that premium orb, like the $2 premium orb or dollar premium orb is decent. We get something like that,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know,
yeah.
some little
This
guppy snacks and
but the drop rate on those premium ISO orbs are also really, really bad. Um,
yeah.
I found that out the hard way. I went and bought the offers. And I went and opened them like 10 at once, and I was like, "What is this garbage? They're not good." Um,
Hmm.
yeah, you. I mean, you have an 85% chance of just getting like three of a
About one,
of like one of
yeah,
these
rank one.
level 1 crystals, and a
Yeah,
15% chance of getting any of the other levels of crystals split between
yeah.
them. And it's like, no, that's like way off. Like that kind of reward, it's not worth buying the premium orbs. So if they want us to buy these premium orbs, they got to give better drop rates on them. um
They definitely need to work on the economy. Like we've been talking
yeah,
about economy a lot in
yeah.
this game with gold and training materials and this is just another crunch that like people have been complaining about ions for so long and now this is going to be another crunch that people are going to feel. And now you have crunches on four places and maybe this training materials one I like we won't know until like we hit month 3 if it actually is going to alleviate training materials, right? And but it's like
I can't
they
believe I'm doing
alleviated
this. I can't
one.
believe I'm doing this while I'm recording. But
Oh
continue.
man, I can't watch you. Um,
we're gonna
it's
show
like they
this live.
alleviate.
We're doing this live. Oh, oh, look at
Oh,
that. Okay,
it's yeah, no, that's not good. That is not good. How many cores was that?
that was 375 times two, so 750 cores for this.
Yeah, that oof, no. No, how much is 750 cores? Like $5? $8?
I think that's yeah between 5 and 10.
Yeah, like
No, $10. Yeah, it was $10 that I just threw away for those two orbs.
no,
So yeah,
I would
according
not.
to Scopely,
Never.
that is what's worth $10.
Yeah.
Don't
Yeah,
try this at
and
home,
like
kids.
the
So
thing that I'm seeing now is that they've alleviated, or in their mind they've alleviated one of these economies with training materials, and now they're like, okay, now we need to crush them with something else,
yeah.
right? So now like they've given us an inch and they've taken a mile, and it seems like that's kind of the game that they want to play to keep us playing, to keep us interested, because it's monthly average users or daily average users or whatever metrics that they use to show that they're successful, and that's what they're going off of, right? So
Mm-hmm.
they're finding ways to keep us interested and keep us playing the game, and you should buy that Thor costume. It looks sick. Um, but yeah, it's just I don't know. I can't really say too much more about it
You know
without
what?
going into like
You know what?
conspiracy theories,
Why
but
not?
yeah,
Let's do it.
do it.
Yeah.
There you go.
I mean, gosh. But anyways, where were we? We're getting
Fountain.
distracted while I'm just like buying random crap on the screen.
Yeah, but like, it's the fountain, the whatever they call it,
The
the fountain, like
fountainable.
your fountain and ISO fountain, like they're loosening one grip to tighten another, and just it feels bad, right? It feels
Yes.
bad to be in this game. And
Yep.
like going back to the biggest part about this is they are pulling people out of content that they were currently doing.
Yep. That was my big
That is,
rant from last night. It was backwards
they
progression,
say
not
that
fun.
they don't. nerf characters, and that's something I've always liked about this game is you don't wake up one day and realize that your account is no longer as strong as it was because somebody made a mistake or somebody decided no, this character's too strong, we need to bring them back to balance. Right? They don't do that like that about this game, but now it's like, oh hey, this content that you've been doing, you can no longer do it because
Right.
you didn't do everything else that we wanted you to do. This is like game designers that are putting their design philosophy, tightening it and putting it onto the players. And it's what they want us to do, and this is where the difference between requirements and recommendations comes in, is if they're recommending this is what they're testing it on, that's fine. We if I don't have ISO 5 on a character, but I took them up to G15 or I have them at 7 star or 7 red star, that should make up for the ISO 5,
Yep.
right? And I should be able to figure out a way to do something outside of what they've tested on.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the whole thing with these kinds of games is you're giving us 160, 168 or 169 characters now, and before it was 5 characters for a raid, and then they expanded it to I think 25 for a raid, right? And now you're like, okay, now these 25 characters you're gonna take them up to the hardest level that you can take them up to be able to do the content that you're already doing,
Yeah. I will
right?
say, one other thing. Start getting the ISO, start farming them, but don't equip them yet because one other thing they did say is they are reducing the difficulty of the Doom Raid. And my
Yes.
question is going to be, is it going to be easy enough that you don't need a full team of 5 to do it then?
Uh,
Because, I mean,
that would be nice.
yeah, I mean, think about the hybrid characters we have too, with like Doom and Kestrel and how they can be used across multiple nodes and just how powerful they are. Um,
Yeah.
that's something too I would recommend is don't just hoard them and let's wait and see how this new difficulty is going to be before starting to put those ISO on. Because it turns out if you don't need to take a full team of 5 up to get through the Doom node, that's even better. But we'll see what this difficulty level is going to be. Say it's going to be much easier. We'll see. Um, but anything
Yeah.
else you want to add on the availability of ISO?
Um, keep farming them. Like just farm them whenever you can. Look at specific characters. Like I scroll to the bottom of my screen just so I can see the exact number. Okay, do I have 81 for this class? And if not, then farm that. Controllers most important. Controllers
Oh,
are the most used race.
controllers, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, if you look
they're
at your
the most
controller
used race
roster,
characters.
yeah, Doom, Emma, Zemo, Phoenix, Ghost, Jubilee. I mean, those are all ones that you're gonna probably use in the raid somewhere.
I would
Um,
also recommend, now this is a little bit of a tinfoil hat theory, but don't equip anything yet. Wait for a response from Scopely
yes,
regarding this feedback
yeah.
because apparently across the board it's all been negative, and
Oh,
supposedly according to an interview they're their own biggest critics and they take feedback seriously. So let's see if they make this change. There can't be this is the first time I've ever seen the entire community, including guys that have these characters at 5 ISOs,
yeah.
are not happy about this,
I mean, when
right?
you have your whales like super pissed off and talking about how they can't do this content, you know you've kind of screwed up somewhere.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm totally on board with them introducing it for Doom,
the new
not even Doom
difficulties,
1
right?
points. Yeah. Yeah, the later difficulties or even Doom Raid 2,
Yeah, and that's what I told them. I
right?
was like, if you guys want to require these ISO, there's and you want to do this for testing purposes, there's no reason why you had to do it on the current content. Do it on the future stuff. Give people at least like let people do what they are doing right now. Let them clear the Doom Raid. But if you want to make the other Doom Raid difficulties require ISO, still not a good idea. But I would call that a bit of a compromise because they definitely want to push the ISO, but I just don't agree with them trying to push it on the current Doom Raid.
Yeah, it's and now like I don't even want to say it, but I
Say
just
it.
got worried about something
Say
else.
it.
What if the new campaigns that they release, like
No,
if they
no,
have
that's it. I'm
Yeah,
cutting you
I
off.
told you.
Cutting you off. No, sir. We are not giving them terrible ideas. No, thank you.
Yeah, I told you I don't want to say it.
No. I'm just gonna go back and just like center that whole section there. I don't want
Yep,
that getting out. Um,
do it.
no, that was terrible. That was a terrible idea. Absolutely terrible idea.
I could see it happening just
Next
based on everything
time,
else.
keep that to yourself, please. All right.
Told you it's
Uh,
tinfoil hat theory.
yeah. Anything else you want to add before we get out of here?
Uh, no, just farm ISOs and honestly, don't whale on this stuff yet. Like, don't
Yeah.
I wouldn't whale on it
Yep.
at all
I mean, you just
because
saw me
it's not
drop
worth
10
it.
bucks, and look at what I just got from that. So,
It's it's not. I normally I would say something like whale harder, but please don't.
dude,
Not on this.
whale lesser.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't, I don't know.
Softer. Did he
Yeah,
say whale harder? So whale soft? That sounds wrong.
yeah. Don't do that. I'm gonna have to cut you off again. That's twice in one video. All right, all right. Well, before we go ahead and say goodnight to all the gentle McMinions out there.
All right. Good night, McMinions.
All right, well, that's going to be it for us, guys. Let us know down below what you guys think about ISOs and try to make them more available. If you guys have any ideas, drop them down below as well. But as always, make sure that like button, share, and subscribe. See you guys next time.